Well, g'day folks, as they say in Australia. This is Lee, your virtual airline pilots, back with you again for another scenery review. And yes, you're not, your eyes aren't deceiving you. We're actually not quite at the airport at the moment. I just wanted to show you this because just really it's quite far away from the airport, and yet it's still been modelled. Yes, welcome to Alice Springs in the Red Desert of Australia. This is a new scenery that came out recently, released from Ybas, from developer Impulse Simulations, and it's probably one of the most complete sceneries I've seen. Although there are quite a lot of buildings around the airport and outside that have been modelled, and not modelled inside, it is a really complete scenery. But I just wanted to show you this, and now if I go up and have a look at the airport from here. There you can see just how far away we are from the airport, and just how far out from the main airport scenery they've been modelling, which is really impressive. It really is one of the nicest sceneries I've ever seen. Okay, so today, as I said, we're in Central Australia. This is Alice Springs Airport, Yankee Bravo Alpha Sierra. It's a payware scenery by Impulse Simulations, released through Ybas. This is version 1, the release version for the PC version of Flight Simulator 2020. Download is 1.3 gigs and it stalls at just over 3 gigs, 3.34 gigs. It's available from Ybas at the moment. I'll give you the price. We're looking at €18.41, which equates to roughly $20.01 US, or £16.04 UK. Those prices, all of them, the Euro, US and UK prices, are all estimates taken from the Australian dollar, and they do not include tax or VAT, which of course will be added and may vary depending on your country of purchase. So let's look at the list of features. So we have realistic ground and apron texturing, realistic night lighting, partially replicated cafe interior, full PBR texturing, custom animations, custom door trigger animations for the Royal Flying Doctor hangar and Alice Springs Aeroclub hangar. I've yet to discover how to activate those. Custom event triggered on the main apron on Wednesdays between 1 and 2 PM local time, simulating the Pine Gap visiting event. Custom vegetation and grass, detailed static graveyard aircraft storage facility, which you can see down here. This was opened up during the COVID-19 outbreak. Over 100 custom modelled objects and buildings, custom taxiway signage, 20,000 hand-placed objects, and over 100 custom assets. So this is a well developed and really is quite a complete scenery. Although most of the interior of the terminal hasn't been developed, it's only partially been done, and many of the buildings around her have some internal development, some don't. It's still, in my opinion, really is quite a complete scenery. The airport is really detailed and beautiful to look at. And as you can see from this shot, they've gone quite a way outside the airport as well. I mean, Alice Springs is up here, and here's the road we looked at a moment ago. There's the place where the sign was. The road's been taken right away out here. So they've gone to some considerable length, and it sits in a beautiful location in the Red Desert and the mountains here. It's a stunning place to land at. And as I probably alluded to in the first review this week, I've got a video coming up where we do an evening sort of dusk, low visibility landing in here. That's to come later this week, hopefully. So as ever, let's look at some history. Alice Springs Airport, Yankee Bravo Alpha Sierra, is a public use airport owned by the Northern Territory Airports Pty Limited and operated by Alice Springs Airport Pty Limited. It is a regional airport located 8 miles or 13 kilometres south of the town of Alice Springs in the Northern Territory of Australia. The airport was notably involved in Australia's first domestic airline hijacking, and later a suicide attack by a former airline employee, which I'll describe later, which claimed the lives of 4 others. The only scheduled flights using the airport are domestic, although international charters do use the airport on occasions. The airport is not subject to a curfew and operates 24 hours a day. In October 1921, the first aircraft landed at the original airport located in Alice Springs Township. Conellan Airways, later to become Conair, was based there from 1939. The military build-up in the north of Australia in the late 1930s saw the need for an airport that could take larger and heavier aircraft. This led to the construction of 7 Mile Aerodrome and the diminished role of the Townsite Aerodrome from 1946 until its eventual abandonment in 1968. It's now the site of Central Australian Aviation Museum. The original north-south runway was along Memorial Drive, which runs along the front of the Aviation Museum, whereas the original east-west runway was along the nearby residential street of Van Senden Avenue. 7 Mile Aerodrome was originally built in 1940 by the Australian Department of Defence and was used primarily by the Royal Australian Air Force and the United States Air Force to bring troops and supplies into the area. The airport became the main transit base for the Royal Australian Air Force transport planes during World War II. Several civilian aircraft were permitted at the airport, but during the war its primary purpose was a military refuelling and staging facility, as the airport was strategically located near the Pacific Theatre of Operations. Number 57 Operational Base Unit of the Royal Australian Air Force ran and maintained the aerodrome. In 1958 it officially became Alice Springs Airport. The main runway was extended to its present length in 1961. The larger runway at the airport can accommodate the Airbus A380 Super Heavy, the Boeing 747 Jumbo and the 777 for landing purposes. However, fully laden takeoffs cannot operate due to the high temperatures and the runway length. Interesting fact: in 1977, tragedy struck the airport on the 5th of January when a former employee of Conair, Colin Richard Foreman, flew a stolen aircraft into the Conair offices, formerly the Conellan Airways offices, located at the airport, killing himself and 3 of the airline employees. A woman working in the offices suffered severe burns and died several days later. So that does it for history. Quite some history, and this airport's been around a long time in its various guises. No jetways. Let's have a look at runways. So runways, as you can see, we've lowered the lighting. It's late evening afternoon here at Alice Springs. So the airport operates 2 runways. The main runway, and the longest, runway 1230, measures 7,999 feet or 2,438 meters and is made from asphalt. It's also grooved. The shorter runway, and you can see that here to the right, runway 1735, measures just 3,717 feet or 1,133 meters, and it's also made from asphalt. Now the airport lies at a fairly high elevation of 1,789 feet or 545 meters and is within the GMT UTC plus 9 hours and 30 minutes time zone. Daylight saving time is not operated, and so currently the airport is 8.5 hours ahead of the UK here in the summer. It's now May 2023. On checking the Flight Sim 2020 time zone, it looks like the time zone is correct, which is great because in the past Flight Simulator usually gets the time zones incorrect or completely wrong. So runway 12, and we're looking down the throat of it now, features high-intensity runway lighting, high-intensity airfield lighting system and precision approach path indicators on both sides of the runway. The runway has a standard instrument landing system with both Z and Y options, as well as both RNP and POR approach options as well. So here we are looking at the runway. You can see it's complete in every detail. You've got the full approach lighting system. There's the PAPIs on both sides. And it looks really good. There's really no problem with it at all. Let's have a little bit of a closer look. So here you can see you've got the bollards here as well, either side. I mean, the detail is amazing. They've gone really to every length to make sure it's all correct. Here you've got runway stop bars. There's the threshold. No centerline lighting, but that's not included on the charts. But everything else is there. Really, really good. So let's have a look at the other end, runway 30. So here we are looking down the throat of runway 30 at the other end. Runway 30 features medium intensity runway lighting, and you can see that here. So the approach main lights, high intensity lighting system is missing. And again, precision approach path indicators on both sides of the runway. This runway supports RNP and VOR approaches, so there's also an NDB approach option to this particular runway. So this is your longest runway, and this is the one that will be used either end by the big jets. So let's go and have a quick look at the other shorter runway. So here we are looking down the throat of runway 1735, the shorter runway, which is just over 3,700 feet. There are no published approach or departure charts for this runway. However, the chart does say that there's portable lighting available. Now, obviously here in the simulator what they've done is they've included the basic lighting, but you're looking realistically at visual approaches only before sunset. And after sunrise, realistically, I think, because there's no instrument approach available. So yeah, it depends whether you've got your GA aircraft or helicopter available where you can use this runway. Quick look from the other end. There you go, runway 35, exactly the same. As I said, you've got basic lighting there, but realistically it's visual approaches only, I would say, during the daytime, before sunset and after sunrise. So that about does it for runways. As you can see, this is a beautiful location, especially as the sun goes down. Let's bring it back to daytimes, get on the ramp and start exploring this amazing, really is truly a wonderful scenery. Let's go and have a look. So we'll start by taking a quick look at this little area off to the northwest of the main airport itself, just so you can have a look at the detail and the attention to detail that they've gone to in this scenery. As you can see, the ground texturing looks wonderful here. You've even got the little stop bollards almost everywhere where they need to be. Hangars and buildings out here, outbuildings, all beautifully modelled and fully textured. Let's have a look up close. And here you can see some containers. They've got the fence line which surrounds the whole airport, and you can see the shadow of where the concrete barriers are buried. You've got the various trucks and the various buildings, and we'll look at the weathering on that hangar. There's a small fuel farm there out to the west side, and I really like the way the concrete here has been done. As you can see, this is really sun-blasted dark concrete asphalt. It's exactly as it would look in the heat that they get out here in these days. Just a close-up look at this little tower here, complete with aerials on the top and beautiful fence line. And you've got this area here, which is pretty much the furthest out from the airport. Has been really nicely done. There's the road there that leads out to Alice Springs, and that's where the sign was that I showed you earlier. It's really nice out here. The only anomaly I can find is you've got these cars going along, which is lovely, but the trees sort of go over the road there, but it's not really a problem. It's just a nitpick really. So let's go and have a look at the airport proper, starting with a tour from this side. Here's a nice little view here of this little building, and again just showing you the way the fence line is that surrounds it. So here we are approaching the taxiway close to the runway 12 threshold, and we start by doing a little airside tour. There you can see helicopter pads. And again, the detail is really stunning here. It's very, very nice. A couple of these hangars contain what I think are PILATUS Porter aircraft, Royal Flying Doctor Service there. As you can see, a beautifully weathered apron. Lots of detail, pretty much nothing has been missed here. Oh, this is pretty stunning actually. Really is. Some amazing detail here. Just come out of it. There's my aircraft sitting on the ramp, and again you look at the weathering on some of these buildings, it's just fantastic. foliage looks good. And here you've got off-airport fuel tanks and various outbuildings, again faithfully recreated around the airport. There's the fence line, you can see it goes on forever almost. Some really nice detail out here. So we're coming back towards the airport landside now, and again you can see some of the detail here. It's just been really nicely done. You've got various buildings, some of which some of you will know. Here you've got Charter Air on the left, look. Here's the solar power source which they use. I mean, you look at the ground detail, it's all 3D, fully modelled. It's not been left for photo scenery at all. That's the main terminal down there. We'll have a closer look landside in a minute. You can see some people standing outside the terminal there. Signage is amazing. I mean, they've included everything. Here you can see everything down to the giveaway signs, the one-way, the signs pointing to Alice Springs. And out here by the roundabout you've got all the signs, the lights, and they've even got the signage there too. Just another example of the signage. And perhaps this is another small anomaly maybe they could fix. You've got this marvellous airport sign here, unfortunately, which is completely surrounded by the foliage, so you can't see it. However, again, these are little niggles, nothing more than that. Just a little look to the other direction there to show you some of the signage and the lamps and the streets, and the way it's been modelled is very nice indeed. And there we are looking in the other direction. So let's continue our landside tour. As you can see, various car parks, just really beautiful detail everywhere you go here. As I say, those of you that have been to Alice Springs will recognise much of this. And they've done pretty well. The hand-placed foliage is great, and in general the default foliage doesn't really infringe on the roads, except the odd place like here and further up. And here off airport you've got yet another solar farm. So let's go and have a closer look landside of the hangars and the main terminal area and have a look at what we can see. Well, it's beautifully done. As this is the landside of the Royal Flying Doctor Service hangar. I mean, just an example of some of the buildings. The cars look pretty good. Even got the air conditioning units there. And again, it's just very nice indeed. So as we continue along here, I mean, you can see some of the detail is just incredible. It's been so well done. I mean, they've not missed a trick here. Really is pretty amazing. So as we come to the main terminal, and the detail is wonderful. Really has been done a nice job. There's the airport signage. Ground signage is good. You've got taxis all over the place. As you can see, you've got people. So the airport has come alive a little bit. There's not that many people, but it's okay. It looks great. Inside of the terminal to the right is not modelled, but again, not a problem. It's fine. It's just they've done a lovely job here. The way it looks, Here we come to the airside fence, and this is parking here, covered parking, and the covered parking with solar panels on the roof there. Very nice indeed. The detail was just amazing. They've done such a job here. We're just going to come back landside across to see some of the signage that we didn't see because of the direction of travel. I mean, look at these signs. Beautiful. There's the car park. We've even got the waste bins. Here you can see people waiting to cross the road there. I mean, the signage is amazing. You've done a lovely job. And you can almost read that. I mean, it's really good. Really, really good. And there you've got an Alice Springs taxi, complete with the livery. And again, more signage, beautifully done, easily readable. And grab yourself a baggage cart, again complete with Alice Springs written on them. This is the kind of detail that makes these projects look great. A well detailed car park, properly 3D modelled, complete with signage, looks great. Can't wait to see this in the dark. And just a quick view across the terminal there. So here we are inside the airside departure lounge. This is the only part that's been developed as such. Again, really nicely done. Lighting is lovely. Good static models. Another shot there looking across the bar. And they're looking towards the outside. Got a young lady sitting there. There you've got the airside garden with tables and a couple of people sat out there. And just a look at the airside part of the terminal as you come out. Here you've got the walkway where passengers come off the aircraft towards the terminal. And here we take a slow little run along the walkway. It's going to airside where the passengers will walk up, and as you can see at the very end here, we have got some passengers ready and waiting. Signage is good, as I said, even up close. So from what I can see, departures go up the right side and arrivals come here down the left side. Typical of the signage here, warnings about electronic devices. And again, as we get closer to the ramp that takes you out to the aircraft there, signage is excellent. Quick look at the people. Again, nicely done. Modelling is excellent. So as we move out to the airside ramp, I mean, look at the detail. All of the clutter that you need is there. It just looks good. Some of these buildings are modelled inside, some are not. But the signage and the placement of the vehicle clutter and the detail is excellent. Here's the control tower. I mean, look at the building texturing. Modelling is just great. So the tower is modelled inside. The only thing that's missing is a controller. But again, that's just a nitpick, nothing more. We've got fire tenders there to the right, and they're proper Australian fire tenders, the right colour, with the markings on them as well. And here's another little passenger lounge. I'm not sure what A.S.A.C stands for. It's probably could be a VIP terminal, I'm not sure, or a charter. But again, it's nicely done. Passenger inside. Oh, it looks great. So as I said, the signage pretty much everywhere you look is sharp and crisp and beautifully done. Let's get out to the taxiways and see if the same is true. I'm betting that it is. And again, look at the concrete. Beautifully done. So let's just swing round to the GA apron. Thankfully I haven't seen any vehicles going out to the runway. But you've got all the markings, all the ground markings that are required or that are visible at this airport. They're all there. And this is a good example of just how much detail they've gone into. We're up close and still these signs are sharp and crisp. And here we're right up close and they're still sharp and crisp. And here we are by the threshold of runway 12. Here you've got the taxiway that goes onto the runway, and of course the signage looks great. And as you can see over there to the other side of the runway, to the south side, you've got the AIRPARK, where most of the airliners were stored during the COVID outbreak when they weren't needed. There's some incredible detail up there. The aircraft models are fantastic, and even the engine covers, the red engine covers, are there. I'm going to leave that for you guys to explore. Let's get back to the airport itself and let's lower the lighting. So here we are looking at the main terminal complex just off the runway. Hang on a sec, we've got a truck going across the runway. Is he going to cross it? Yes, he is. So he's crossing it. You get vehicles crossing the runway but not going down them, which is good. So as I said, let's lower the lighting to dusk and have a look at the subtle lighting that's available at this model airport here. Okay, just before 6 PM local time and the sun has all but disappeared. And the lighting has come up. As I've said in many of the reviews, because of SOBO, Microsoft have this time slider. It's really difficult to sort of get the airport time sort of minute to minute or second to second, as it were. It would be nice if they had some kind of digital slider that you could use so that you could set the time almost to the minute and you could see when the lighting comes on. But there we go. Okay, so we still have vehicles crossing the runway. Hopefully not too many too often, but looking down there you can see some beautiful subtle lighting. There's the runway lighting as well. There's the AirPark. Hardly any lighting at all, but of course there is over here, which is the base. And that's the sun has dipped just over the hills there in the distance. Here's the first place we looked at on the northwest end of the airport, and out here takes you out to Alice Springs. So let's get down low and have a look at the airport. So here's my aircraft parked on the ramp, and as you can see the lighting is beautifully done, very very subtle. The sources are correct. Here you've got the lamp stanchions, and the amount of lighting is pretty much correct for the area. As you can see here, you've got green centerline lighting as well, and you've got this really nice little model of the lighting points that are embedded into the concrete. Now they have these at Heathrow and at Gatwick and at many airports around the world. It's nice to see them detailed and fully modelled in a simulator model like this. And there's a little close-up look and you can see the glow. I mean, I really like the way that's done. It looks, but the effect is really nice. Okay, a little slow pan across the airside area. Look at the lighting on some of the buildings. Some nice down lighting there to the right. Again, you've got big lighting provided by the correct light sources. Nice to see the centre line, the green lights going right in there to some of the other hangars. Some nice parallaxing on that hangar there on the windows. As you can see, really nice here. Well, in fact they haven't gone. That was just another entrance further down there that I missed. Here's the one we looked at before, and there are passengers. So we continue the tour. Again, the lighting's really good. There's the parallaxing on the windows of those buildings there. It looks really good, and to be honest, it looks really effective. Control tower's partially lit inside, but as you can see, it works on the buildings where it's there. It works really well. There's our friends there in the other building. And here you've got the Royal Flying Doctor Service and the aprons. Let's have a look inside one of these hangars. I want to show you what actually is inside at least two of them. We just go through here. There you go. One, I think that's a PILATUS porter. Again, a very nice model up close. Looks really good. And there you go as we move out to the far end there. It's just very nice. Couple of helicopter pads. As we move out towards the runway here, interestingly enough, the signs aren't lit. So that's interesting. The blue lights there you can see by the runway. We'll have another look at this during the night hours and see if these signs actually light up. Here you've got blue airfield edge lights, but they don't seem to light up. And looking back along the taxiway here, let's just move along the taxiway. There's no centerline lights on this part at all. You can see the blue airfield edge lights to the right there, just to the lower right, but they're not lit. They really should be. These are little anomalies that can be fixed, I'm sure. It's only when we get to the central part here, look, where you can see you've got green centerline lights. And let's see if the blue lights come alive as we get closer to this area. So again, you've got the various signs to the right there that are not lit. And again there. So here we go, green centerline lights. There are blue airfield edge lights to the right there, but again they're not lit. Let's swing out towards the runway. Again, signage there that's not lit. This is a live runway. Now here you've got the white lights, part of the high intensity airfield lighting system. And looking back down towards the runway and this part of the area here, it's just a bit strange really. You've got the high intensity lighting which you expect, you've got blue lights here. Now blue airfield edge lights are just that, they donate the boundary of the airfield and they are all the way along here, but they're not lit at all. And you only get your green centerline lights when you come up to here. So if you're doing a night takeoff from runway 12, you're going to need your nose gear light here. And the runway entry signs really should be lit, but they're not. So again, these are little niggles that probably could be fixed, but who knows, they may be the case in the real world. I don't know, I've never been to Alice Springs. If you guys know, then maybe you can tell me in the comments. But as you can see, in general, the lighting is really subtle. It's very, very nice. Let's have a quick look landside. So here we are looking at the main terminal from landside. There are people that we saw earlier, the signage. Again, the lighting is really good, nicely placed. The sources are all correct, no ASOVO globes floating around. And again, looking in the other direction, it's great. Even the taxis have their headlights on, which is good. I mean, wherever you look, it's just a very, very nice ambient atmosphere. It looks really good. No complaints at all. And there's a general look across landside. As you can see, lovely, beautiful, subtle lighting right the way down to the entrance to the airport here, and quite a significant way along the main road. That's looking out in the other direction. You've got the Royal Flying Doctor Service hangars here. Then as you go further out here, this is where Alice Springs itself is. So there you go, that looks pretty good. Let's drop it right down to night time now and see whether anything else comes up. Okay, just after 8 PM in the evening, and as you can see, the sun is really totally gone. We're in the total dark desert. Here's the main ramp. Lighting has indeed come up a little bit, and you've got the green centerline lights which really help. So it looks as though we don't have any blue airfield edge lights at all. It's interesting to see the headlights of the vehicles across the runway. If that's the case, then that's a big help, because you'll get to see them before you actually land on them. So there are the blue lights right at the edge of runway 12 threshold there, but there's no lighting here leading you out to the runway, even though they do have blue airfield edge lights buried in the ground, which we saw during the daytime. They're not lit. Let's go to the threshold and have a look at the approach signs and see if they're lit. Okay, I had to just basically go back to daylight to actually find the point where the signs are. As you can see, you've got the runway here with the edge lights. The signs are right here, but you can't see them because they're not lit, and it really should be. According to the charts, this is a 24-hour available airport. So, but then again, like I said, I don't know. I've not been to this airport, so I don't know if this is intentional and as it is in the real world. Perhaps somebody can help me with that. I guess I'm just surprised to find no lit signage. However, there we go. Let's have a look at the airside ramp. So here you are looking at the airside ramp, and as you can see, plenty of light, and it looks very, very nice. I actually literally sort of pushed the drone center button here and literally flew right back to this starting point, and I have to say there's no loss of frame rate. The frame rate's actually very impressive. Again, really nice lighting. It's a lovely airport. It's very, very nice. Look at the ground texturing on the concrete. I mean, this sort of thing is excellent. Done a wonderful job. The trees look good. It's very, very nice. There's some of the parallaxing on the windows, and this truck here has been beautifully modelled. It's not a default, it's beautiful. As you can see, the control tower there is lit. You've got the white and green light on the top, and the car park lighting is very subtle, and no sign of any Asobo globes floating all over the place, which is brilliant. Just another view there looking out towards the runway. And looking out there, there's the windsock, which actually is lit. And there you've got the threshold of runway 30, the other runway. And here you've got lead in and lead out lights from the main runway. It's just a real pity that the airfield edge lights, and they are here, aren't lit, and the signs aren't lit as well for the main runway, which really is a must. But again, like I said, this may be how it is in the real world at Alice Springs. I've not been there. If anybody has been there and would be happy to comment, and we'd love to hear from you. So there we go, a last look overview of the airport at night time. The lighting is really as subtle. It is very, very nicely done. Let's bring up the dawn. So here we are, just after 7 AM. You can see the sun rising up there in the east, and the lighting is still there, but it's getting lower and lower. I'm a little bit concerned by the frequency of vehicles crossing the runway. They seem to cross quite a lot. I'm not sure whether or not that can be controlled. I don't know. But I think you need to see the airside vehicles just to have the airport sort of come to life, as it were. But a nice view here as the sun comes up. And there we are looking out towards the southeast, the runway 30 threshold there. Another look at the AIRPARK with all the aircraft stored. As I said, I'll let you guys have a close look. The models are wonderful. And there's the threshold of runway 12. Here's the taxiway going up here, a couple of helicopter pads, and there's the place that we looked at earlier during the start here. Very nice indeed. Okay, just after 10:30 in the morning, time to wrap up this review and give you my thoughts. As I said at the outset, this is one of the most complete airports I've seen, given this type of airport and where it sits. This is Alice Springs. It has regular domestic services with the odd international flight. It's in a beautiful location. The developer has modelled it very, very nicely indeed and adapted it to fit into the current Australia scenery. And it looks great. I really have no complaints. The texturing, everything you need here as a pilot is pretty much there. The only worries I have is, like I said, as the light goes down, bearing in mind this is a 24-hour airport, the centerline lighting and the main lighting itself seems to be only available in this area here, in the central area here. When you start to get out here, as we've seen during the daytime, there are blue airfield edge lights here, but they're not lit. And here you've got runway signage which you can see during the day, but at night time's not existent. And given that this airport does indeed operate 24 hours, I find that rather strange. Some of the night signage that isn't lit is quite important, I think. That maybe needs to be corrected, but like I said, if it exists that way at the real airport, it's a bit of a surprise for me. But if somebody who's been here knows that, it would be nice to hear. But everything else is really beautifully modelled and textured. It's a lovely airport. I mean, do I think it's worth €18? Yeah, it is, absolutely. Again, the amount of work that's been done, the texturing on pretty much everything, so much so when many other scenery developers often leave it out. Sometimes they leave it to photo-ground scenery to do the job, and often it doesn't work. But here they've done everything, and this, like I said, this road goes all the way out for some mile, for almost a mile or two, a couple of miles out towards Alice Springs. This is a great place to go flying in the helicopter. It's in a beautiful location. And yeah, very, very well worth it. It's definitely the best version of Alice Springs out there. There is a freeware version which I believe is continually being developed, and that's obviously a great thing. I'm very, very, very pleased. But if you want the best Alice Springs, this is it. And I think the price is more than acceptable. So folks, there you go, Alice Springs Airport, Yankee Bravo Alpha Sierra. This is a payware scenery by Impulse Simulations. This is version 1, the release version for the PC version of Flight Simulator 2020. Downloads at 1.3 gig and installs at just over 3 gigs, 3.3 gigs. Available exclusively from Orbix for the moment. Current price is €18.41, which equates to $20.01 US, or £16.04 UK. Bear in mind all those prices are conversions from the Australian dollar, and they do not include tax or VAT, which will take the price up a little bit, but I still think it's really quite good. Certainly worth it in terms of the work that they've done. It's a really, really nice scenery. So guys, this is Lee, your virtual airline pilot, wrapping up another review. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you've been on the fence again about whether to buy this or not, like I said, if you want the best that's out there, this is it. What would I like to see? I'd like to see the developer go back to the scenery and just sort out a few little niggly issues, nothing serious like that. But like I said, the blue airfield edge lighting and the entry signs in the night time are a concern for me, and I don't know if this is the way it is at the real airport. If it is, I find it surprising, but maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. But that's the only thing, so the only real question mark I have over this scenery. You've done a lovely job, and you guys have yet to discover the AIRPARK over the other side. The quality of the aircraft models is really stunning. I'll let you guys have a look at that. So this is Lee, your virtual airline pilot, wrapping up this review. Thank you for joining me, and guys, have a good week, and look out for an adventure video coming out shortly where I make a DUSK landing in low visibility here, and I hope you'll enjoy that. So take care, thanks again, bye for now.